Something has happened to you that the people who once knew exactly how to handle you were never supposed to survive. You became someone their entire strategy has no answer for. Every script they wrote, using your former reactions as the predictable variable, has stopped producing the expected outcome. Every pressure point they cataloged through years of careful observation now meets something entirely different from what they mapped. A stillness, a clarity, and a grounded authority that their most sophisticated provocations cannot penetrate, cannot replicate, and cannot develop a counter-strategy for, because it was not produced by technique or decision, but by a transformation so complete that the person their strategies were built around has ceased to exist entirely. In the full spiritual and historical record of human evolution, the specific phenomenon of a soul transforming so completely that it becomes strategically unrecognizable to every force that once successfully opposed it is described in ancient wisdom traditions as the rarest and most consequential form of personal power available within a single lifetime. The vast majority of people who experience opposition evolve reactively. They become more defended, more aggressive, or more strategically cunning in direct proportion to the attacks they absorb. And that reactive evolution remains permanently legible to the opposition that provoked it because it follows the predictable architecture of a wound responding to pressure. What you have produced is something the ancient texts described as sovereign evolution transformation, so internally sourced that it carries no reactive signature for opposition to read. There was a defining moment within your transformation season, specific, private, and made without any audience to validate the difficulty of the choice, where you decided to stop investing your most precious internal resources in the management of people and dynamics designed to keep you reactive and start redirecting every unit of that energy into the construction of a version of yourself that those dynamics could not reach. It was not a dramatic declaration or a visible pivot. It was a quiet, deeply personal decision to withdraw your emotional participation from every system that depended on your reactivity for its power over you. That single internal reallocation of energy was the precise moment the upgrade began, and what it has produced since then has made everything that once opposed you structurally irrelevant. From the moment your internal reallocation began producing measurable changes in your responses and behavior, the forces that had previously operated with confident knowledge of your patterns entered a period of intensified and increasingly anxious observation. Darkness understood immediately that a soul withdrawing its reactive energy from the systems designed to harvest, it represents a catastrophic disruption to every influence structure built around the predictability of that reaction. And it escalated its testing with sophisticated precision, deploying the most historically effective provocations in its arsenal to determine whether your new stillness was genuine self-mastery or a temporary suppression. That sufficient pressure could collapse back into familiar patterns. Divine intelligence was simultaneously documenting every moment your upgraded architecture held under that escalating pressure without reverting. The structural integrity of your transformation was tested across multiple encounters with the specific sophistication of opposition that had previously succeeded and was now operating with the urgency of forces that understand what they stand to lose if your upgrade proves permanent. The provocation arrived constructed with intimate knowledge of your former emotional geography, targeted at the exact coordinates where reaction had previously been most reliable and most exploitable, and you registered the familiar pressure of the old pattern activating beneath your upgraded architecture, held the awareness of it without being governed by it, and responded from your new level without effort or performance. The attempt came to reframe your calm as emotional unavailability, your detachment as weakness, your refusal to engage as fear, and you let the reframing fail without defending yourself against it. When higher intelligence assembled the complete record of your transformation and reviewed the full evidence of its structural stability, under the most precisely calibrated opposition pressure available, the consistency with which your upgraded responses held under conditions specifically engineered to collapse them, the depth of self-mastery demonstrated by your ability to feel the pull of former patterns without being governed by them, the quality of sovereignty evidenced by your complete withdrawal of reactive energy from systems that once harvested it reliably. The classification issued was unambiguous and carried the weight of absolute certainty. You were identified as a soul that had completed sovereign evolution, the rarest and most strategically consequential transformation available, and whose upgraded architecture had been verified as genuine, rather than performed under the most demanding testing conditions possible. At the precise moment, your sovereign evolution was verified as structurally complete and stable under maximum opposition pressure. Something shifted in the divine realm with the gravity and finality of a work that has been brought to its intended completion. The archangels assigned to the guardianship of your transformation stood as full witnesses to everything the upgrade had produced. Not only the external evidence of your changed responses, but the complete interior reconstruction of emotional sovereignty, strategic detachment, and grounded authority that generates those responses from a place so deep and so genuinely transformed that no external pressure can access its foundation. God observed the totality of the finished work and recognized in it the signature of a soul that had chosen the most demanding path to genuine power and arrived at its destination completely intact. Following that divine witnessing, a decree of sovereign authority was released into your timeline with the irreversible weight of a permanent structural correction. A power that opposition once held over you through your former emotional patterns has been officially and permanently dissolved, not by your effort or strategy, but by divine recognition of a transformation that has made the restoration of those patterns structurally impossible. Every dynamic, relationship, and environment that was organized around the leverage your reactivity once provided is now being reconfigured by the force of a decree that cannot be negotiated with, appealed to, or circumvented by any attempt to locate and reactivate the version of you it has officially retired. The upgraded version is now the only version the universe recognizes, and it has been given the full weight of divine authority to operate as such. The identity your opposition constructed and depended upon, someone whose emotional responses could be reliably triggered, whose vulnerabilities could be strategically mapped and revisited, whose behavior under pressure could be predicted with sufficient accuracy to be managed and exploited, was always a temporary description of an incomplete activation rather than a permanent truth about what you are at your structural core. What you actually are is a sovereign disruptor, an ancient soul who entered this lifetime encoded with a quality of internal authority so fundamental and so complete that even the extended seasons of reactivity your opposition successfully leveraged were always stages of incomplete revelation rather than accurate portraits of your nature. The upgrade did not install something foreign. It removed every layer of incompleteness that had temporarily obscured what was always irreducibly there. With the decree of your sovereign authority now fully active and your true identity completely released into operational reality, the mission carried within your transformation becomes clear with a precision that requires no interpretation. You are not here simply to be invulnerable to your opposition or to inhabit the shifted power dynamic your evolution has produced as a personal reward. You are here to demonstrate to the living undeniable, daily evidence of how you now move through the world that genuine self-mastery is not a discipline imposed on the self from outside, but a revelation of what the self always was beneath every reactive pattern that obscured it. Your mission is to make that demonstration in every space your sovereign presence now inhabits, and the demonstration itself will be the most powerful teaching those spaces have ever received. As the decree of your sovereign authority activates across the material dimensions of your life, the dissolution of opposition's leverage will begin producing tangible realignments in your external circumstances with increasing speed and visibility. Relationships whose entire architecture depended on dynamics your evolution has rendered structurally impossible will complete their reconfiguration. Departures that free space for aligned connections and transformations in remaining relationships that reflect the new power dynamic your upgrade has installed. Resources, opportunities, and alignments that were being actively suppressed by the leverage of former patterns provided to opposing forces will begin surfacing as that leverage evaporates, and the material expression of your sovereign frequency will arrive with the inevitability and naturalness of a correction long overdue finding its moment of release. As the evidence of your sovereign transformation becomes impossible for your environment to minimize or explain away, something will begin occurring in the people around you that extends far beyond their changed response to you personally and reaches into the interior of their own relationship with reactivity, vulnerability, and the patterns through which they have historically been opposed and managed. Your presence will not lecture them or instruct them. It will simply demonstrate through the daily reality of how you operate that the exit from reactive patterns is not a strategy, not a discipline, and not a performance of detachment, but a genuine interior transformation that makes the old patterns feel not suppressed, but simply no longer structurally available, and that demonstration will awaken in them a hunger for the same irreversible freedom. The sovereign evolution you have completed is not a solitary achievement in the spiritual and human landscape of this particular moment in history. It is one transformation within a vast, coordinated, simultaneous global activation of souls who have done the most demanding interior work available and emerged on the other side as genuinely, structurally, and permanently beyond the reach of the opposition strategies that once successfully governed their behavior. Across the world right now, thousands of people are completing similar sovereign evolutions, discovering that former triggers have lost their access, that former vulnerabilities have been genuinely transformed rather than temporarily suppressed, and that share this immediately with someone still caught in the exhausting cycle of reactive patterns who needs to understand that the liberation they are seeking is not on the other side of better strategy or stronger willpower, but on the other side of the kind of genuine interior transformation that makes the old patterns structurally impossible to inhabit. Subscribe so that every message calibrated to the frequency of your sovereign evolution finds you at precisely the moment it was designed to arrive. And stay, because what your upgrade has made you is only beginning to reveal the full extent of what it has permanently removed from the reach of everything that once opposed you.